mad Labour government with this awful Chancellor woman who just blames everyone except herself. Unbelievable. Let's go straight over to my first guest. That's Isabel Oakeshott, our international editor. Welcome, Isabel. Well, I ran through some of the low points, if you like. As I say, basically, this is the highest tax burden on long-suffering Brits for 300 years. A £30 billion tax raise, a soaring welfare bill, which will now rocket to a staggering £406 billion a year by 2030. £3.5 billion extra quid for big families after scrapping the two-child benefit cap. She's going to freeze wage thresholds, which means a quarter of all British workers will soon be plunged into the higher tax rate. She's going to tax milkshakes, tourism, hotels, Airbnbs, all gambling except horse racing. You name it, Rachel from Accounts taxed it. It's a disaster, isn't it?
It will be an absolute disaster. And yeah, you mentioned the farmers there. I'm generally never pleased to be woken up at 5:30 in the morning, but I was this morning by the sound of klaxons on the embankment, and I thought, what on earth is going on? I peeked out the window, and there were the tractors trundling towards Downing Street, trundling towards the Houses of Parliament. And, you know, that actually really lifted my spirits, because the tractors had been told, the farmers had been told, don't come, you're not allowed to stage your demonstration. At the last minute, they had their permission revoked, and they basically said, screw you. And they came anyway. And you know what? In the Commons today, when Rachel Reeves reiterated her pernicious inheritance tax on farmers, on agricultural land, you know what the Labour benches did?
They cheered. Yeah, of course they did.
Cheered, which I thought was just tells you everything you need to know. Where exactly do they think their food is going to come from? Do they think it's going to be better for the people that they say are struggling and need extra benefits if we can't even produce our own food, and so we have to import more, and then it's more expensive? Are these people just stupid or what? You know,
would they cheer if they met my guest at 8:30, his father, a lifelong
You know
farmer?
what? I think they're so graceless that they wouldn't even know how to respond to that. You know, I don't think they have it in them to feel human sympathy for that particular circumstance. So this budget is a catastrophe, because what it's done is handed a whole load of extra money to people who don't work on the backs of people who do. And I don't see how that fulfills any Labour manifesto or Labour kind of ideology of looking after working people. What that budget has done today is actually prioritise those people who don't work, you know, and including those, let me put it bluntly, who cannot be bothered to work because the state has made it too easy for them not to. And the biggest cheers of all today were for the extra benefits, the lifting of the two-child cap on child benefits. And Rachel Reeves actually suggested that that two-child cap is, and I quote, pushing families, pushing children into poverty, as if the benefits system or the absence of benefits is somehow responsible for parents not being able to care for their own children. I mean, and that was the theme, wasn't it, of the whole thing, really? You know, let's make it more expensive, shall we, for employers to take on young people. Let's make it more difficult for employers to actually risk taking on anybody. You know, she started her budget today by paying lip service. This was the very opening of the budget, paying lip service to wealth creators, risk takers, entrepreneurs. And the whole of the rest of the budget proceeded to do a succession of things that it actually makes it so much more difficult for them. That is why they are leaving the country.
Exactly right. So the two-child benefit cap being scrapped will mean that at least 18,000 large families will get an extra £14,000 each for each of 18,000 families. It's going to cost us an extra £3.5 billion. When she announced what we already knew was coming, the scrapping of the two-child cap benefit, they roared with approval. Yeah, brilliant. And of course the Tories sort of booed it, and Rachel got really annoyed. So I don't see what it's the moral thing to do. It's the moral. It isn't moral at all. What about it means that it's a symbol of what this budget means. This budget means now that neither Rachel from Accounts nor two-tier Keir Starmer are in charge. They're not running this country. The people that are running this country are this caucus of left-wing backbenchers who are telling them exactly what to do, and they demanded that we give more to the welfare benefit class, and what this budget basically adds up to, and this is our future now, is that the alarm clock class, grafters, people who work hard, people with small businesses, people who run businesses, will now be charged by this government to work hard. They will tax us to the hilt. They will tax us to here in order to hand that money to people who don't work, to people with 7 kids who don't work, to people who claim that they've got anxiety and mental health issues, people who are signed off for life because they've got mental health issues, this kind of thing. We have now become an unsustainable, crazy welfare state. And there's nothing Rachel nor Keir can do, because if they try to bring the welfare bill down, which they did try not so long ago to do, the backbenchers won't let them do it. So what we've got from this nation has a massive need to drastically reduce our welfare bill. What do we learn today? It's actually going to go up. It's around about £320 billion a year at the moment. That's our welfare bill. Today we learnt that it's going to go up to about £420 billion by 2030. This is an absolute catastrophe. We are just going to become a welfare state in which hard-working people work hard in order to fuel financially the welfare state. Should we have a quick look at Rachel Reeves claiming that the welfare system is broken? I think we know that, Rachel, but here she goes.
We're not going to leave the welfare system unchanged. Under the previous government, in the last 5 years of the Conservative government, spending on welfare increased by 1 percentage point of GDP, equivalent to £88 billion. The OBR, I think, in their forecast showed that as a share of GDP, welfare spending will be broadly flat, but the system's not working, it's broken. And so those sorts of changes are the right things to do.
Let's have a look at Kemi Badenoch. She was actually pretty good today. She got a lucky break for an opposition leader, because she managed to get hold of the budget a lot earlier than everybody thought, because the Office of Budget Responsibility irresponsibly leaked it half an hour earlier. So that was a bit of a Westminster storm. But here is Kemi Badenoch on Rachel Reeves.
It's a total humiliation, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last year, she put up taxes by £40 billion, the biggest tax rate in British history. She promised that she wouldn't be back for more. She swore it was a one-off. She told everyone that from now on, it would be stability and she would pay for everything with growth. Today, she has broken every single one of those promises. If she had any decency, she would resign. At the last budget, she said she was proud to be the country's first ever female chancellor. After this budget, she will go down as the country's worst ever chancellor.
I think she's right. I mean, Rachel Reeves is hopeless, isn't she, Isabel?
It was quite funny there, looking at the expressions on the faces of Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer.
Didn't like it, did they?
No, they really didn't. And you know, I also noticed how often Rachel Reeves in the chamber today kept on saying how proud she was. And I just thought, how can you say that? You know, how can you be proud of the absolute mess that you've created? You know, all she did was go on about what they've inherited. But I think that's really wearing thin at this point. You know, you showed the clip there of her saying a year ago, I think it was almost exactly a year ago, or maybe it was a bit earlier. When was that clip from the University College Hospital where she said the welfare state is broken? Because she sure as hell hasn't just gone and mended it, has she? She's just gone and broken it a bit more.
Well, she's broken it in terms of the fact that she's basically sort of put a bicycle pump in it and just expanded it to an unsustainable level. I mean, that's it now. We are just going to be a country that has this massive, massive welfare bill that those who work will have to fund, will have to pay for it. Meanwhile, we will continue to tell millions of people who are anxious and depressed, oh, you can have the rest of your lives off work. We won't ask them too many questions, and we'll give them free cars, and so on and so forth. 1 in every 5 cars in this country is bought by the Motability scheme. So she seems to think it's a big deal that they won't be buying Mercedes and BMWs anymore.
Yeah, great.
So
well,
what? So what? How about scrap the whole system?
Thanks for that. You know, so announcing in a great blaze of publicity, as if this is some enormous kind of tough crackdown on the abuse of the completely discredited Motability system, that no longer will you be able to get luxury cars. Why the heck was anyone allowed to buy a luxury car in the first place? I want to see that entire scheme scrapped. Perhaps there is a case for a very, very small number of properly, genuinely disabled people getting some subsidies for specially adapted car. But this thing has been an absolute scandal on wheels, and they've done nothing whatsoever apart from tinker at the tiny edges of it to address that scandal.
Yeah, indeed. And the Motability, as I say, 1 in 5 new cars in this country, and every 5 is bought by the Motability scheme to hand out to people who are on disability benefits. Now, as you say, I'm not against the idea of giving physically disabled people cars to get around. That's what a decent society should do, if possible. But people who say they're suffering from anxiety or mental health issues, or they're depressed, why does that warrant a car?
Or their children have ADHD. I mean, I think that's also another thing, if you play the system right. You know, this is just completely bonkers. And she could have saved a lot of money by saying, actually, you know, we're going to root and branch reform this thing. But no, just a bit of tinkering around the edges. And you know, the other thing that chancellors always do, and she's not alone on this one, is they always talk about how they're going to save money by cracking down on tax evaders.
They always say that, yeah.
I mean, you know, no one can condone tax evasion, but you're going to get an awful lot of people who are going to try very hard to legally avoid tax, because it just doesn't stack up anymore, does it? It does not stack up. If you are a hard-working person struggling to make ends meet, of course you're going to try and optimize how much you pay, because you're not getting very much in return. You know, you're seeing your everything that you do, everything that you own, everything that you buy is hammered by tax. And all the Chancellor can do is talk about cracking down on tax evaders. How about actually cracking down on work evaders? That might be rather a better way of looking at it.
Exactly right. Let's go to break now, and when we come back, I don't know if you noticed, she slipped into her rather aggressive little speech today, her budget speech, that the welfare bill, or the bill for asylum seekers, which was running at £4.5 billion, is going to go up to 15 billion. That was an interesting little addition. So there are all these reasons why she has to charge us tax, and most of them are because of the fiscal lunacy of this Labour government that just keeps handing out money to basically anyone that they can find. The money they waste is a scandal. We'll talk about that next. Yeah, a little message to Chris from Epsom, who sent us a WhatsApp voice note. I hope you're listening, Chris. He's bet me 100 quid to a charity of my choice that we won't play his WhatsApp voice note. Well, we won't, Chris, because you need to look into the law. You see, we can't play your WhatsApp voice note because it would be sub judice. It would break the law, you understand? It's quite a complicated world we live in, isn't it? But thanks for your effort. Keep them coming. Right, let's go back to Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. As I was saying, what we've got here, Isabel, is a mad mosaic of taxes on houses, taxis out for the night fun taxes, milkshakes, hotels, betting on all gambling apart from horse racing. That's a disaster, by the way. There's even a suggestion there might be taxes on holidays in Cornwall and places. It's like she's just she's sort of gone through everything and just tried to find anything she can that she can tax. Milkshakes, the sugar tax is going to go up. It's a smorgasbord, it's a mad mosaic. And these kind of budgets, George Osborne tried one some years ago, where they just come up with lots and lots of different little taxes. They have a history of being pretty disastrous. They don't work.
Well, you used the word smorgasbord there, and David Frost rightly points out that a smorgasbord is a kind of quite a nice thing. It's a tray of lots of delicious options that you can choose from. And as Lord Frost points out, you don't get to choose from this budget. You have to, the whole lot of it is force-fed to you. And it leaves you feeling an awful lot worse than before you'd eaten any of it. It's a horrible, horrible budget. I read somewhere, and I'm afraid I haven't looked into this, that she's even found a way to tax cycling to work.
Yes, I saw that one. Yeah.
Marvellous.
And what about the electric vehicles? So she's punishing. So the successive governments have said, get an electric car. Yes. It's so good for the environment. Yes. We'll give you all these benefits if you get an electric car. Oh, and you must cycle everywhere. Cycle to work. It's healthy and it's so good for the environment. Now she's punishing people who have done what her government and previous governments asked them to do.
Absolutely, and it reminds me of the whole diesel thing. I'm the sad owner of an ancient diesel car, and when that car was purchased, the government at the time was telling us, buy diesel cars, they're a better thing. And then you find that you're punished for having a diesel car some years later because it's regarded as more polluting than the other ones. So you can't trust any government. They just tell you what to do. And if you think you're doing the right thing, well, good luck to you. A few years down the line, they'll decide to tax you on it anyway. You weren't quite right about all gambling being taxed, because there was one little exception.
Horse racing, I did say that, apart from horse racing.
No, there was another exception, bingo.
Oh, OK.
Yeah, I'm probably not sure I can see you playing bingo. Can't say.
Nah. I did go once. I couldn't understand the rules.
I think we know what kind of voters that was aimed at. Very squarely aimed at people they think are going to vote Labour, if there are many of those people left. So, yeah, I mean, just an absolute shocker overall.
Yeah, and in this budget speech, she actually mentioned that the asylum bill would go up from 5.4 billion to 15.3 billion pounds over the next few years. So that's factored in, that the asylum seeker crisis, if you like, the use of hotels, maybe different forms of accommodation, but the continuing migrant crisis is factored into this budget. There seem to be no plans for that to end. Do you see what I mean?
I absolutely see what you mean. What you're saying there is this more than tripling of the budget for accommodating asylum seekers is a confession. It's an admission that this asylum crisis is just going to keep going. What does that mean? It means they're not planning to stop the boats. I don't think any of us ever thought they were planning to stop the boats. And that old one-in, one-out scheme, that ain't cutting the bill for the asylum seeker catastrophe. There's another thing also I think is worth pointing out, which is the expected bill for the hated digital ID card scheme, putting it in estimated cost at around 1.8 billion.
Yeah.
I would strongly suggest that we double that. You know, we know government IT projects, they're always a complete and utter disaster.
Yeah.
And it will undoubtedly, the cost of that ID scheme will soar. And just to put that in a bit of context, they introduced today, Rachel Reeves announced, although we all knew she was going to do it anyway, her so-called higher value homes extra punishment. And that higher values homes surcharge, as she calls it, is only going to raise some 400 million. So the digital ID card scheme is going to cost a multiple of what they're going to extract by doing a whole new thing on people who just happen to have worked hard enough and saved and done the right thing to have valuable houses. I think this is utterly pernicious, as if your property isn't already taxed again and again and again when you buy it, when you run it. On every level, property has become, frankly, a diminishing investment in the UK, and we haven't even talked about the whole landlord thing.
Yeah, and it's like a sledgehammer on Aspiration. So basically, if you are lucky enough to climb up the financial ladder, do well in your career, A, she's going to tax you to the hilt, going to tax you basically 50% of your salary. And B, if you buy a house and it's worth over £2 million, she's going to tax you to the hilt on that. And do you know what really annoys me about the mansion tax? I heard her today. She goes, I hardly think that anybody who lives in a £5 million house won't be able to afford a little bit of tax. You know, really angry class warfare stuff. Well, you know, I live in Hampstead in North London. Now, there's a lot of very valuable houses there. There's also lots and lots of people who've lived there since the 60s. It used to be a kind of quite a bohemian place to live. People like teachers and stuff like that. So they actually do live in houses that they own that are probably worth £3 million, £4 million. They're not rich, though. They are not rich. It's going to hit a lot of people like that. Despite the stereotype, caricature way that people like Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer look at society, people who live in £2 million houses are not necessarily rich, and it's going to crucify them, this.
So here's the thing about, you know, living in a house of that value. You know, in many cases, the property, as you say, was bought for, you know, a great deal less than that. And lovely as it is to see the value of your home going up and up, it's no use to you unless you're going to sell it. It's your actual home. You know, yes, maybe you can remortgage it and extract a bit of money out of it. But, you know, why would you want to do that just to donate a bit more money to the gargantuan charity that this country has become? That is how it seems to me. You know, you've got this asset, and as I say, it's lovely that it's theoretically worth all this money, but in reality, it doesn't mean that you've got a ton of money in your purse. And the other problem I foresee with this, and the government must be well aware of it, you know, there are plenty of people have a house which is sort of might be 1.8 million or it might be 2.1 million, depending on the market. Now, by the very act of introducing this so-called high-value home surcharge, she's just depressed the value of a load of houses that are at around the 2 million mark. They will have to be marketed at below that in order to escape the surcharge. So I think she's sort of got herself into likely into an exercise which is going to produce an awful lot more paperwork and disputes and hassle than it will actually yield money for the exchequer.
Exactly. People have said to me, experts have said to me, that actually this mansion tax may end up costing the government money, that they'll lose money on it because the selling houses of that value will become very, very difficult because people won't want the mansion tax. Therefore, houses won't get sold. Therefore, the government won't get stamp duty. So, in actual fact, this is pretty incoherent. The government could end up losing money, not gaining money from this mansion tax. And I'll tell you what the mansion tax is all about, because even if, well, they are going to get it running, it's not going to raise a whole lot of money. This is more crass class warfare on the part of these tin pot sixth form socialists who somehow or other are running our country or mismanage our country now. It's class warfare.
Completely. It's just in the same kind of bracket as the private schools thing. I mean, the private schools thing hasn't helped anyone in any shape or form. It's caused all sorts of extra iniquities. You've got a load of people's special educational needs claims to try and get around it. I mean, it's just been purely ideological, that, and I just think that what people will do if they own a house in that bracket is they will not, and they've been thinking of selling it. If they can, what they will do is they will sit on that asset. They will not sell their home until there is a new government, because they will hope that an incoming government will take a different, slightly less class warrior-like view on the world and will scrap that pernicious so-called high-value home surcharge. I mean, I really object to this on kind of philosophical grounds. The idea that you should have to pay a surcharge, as she puts it, for your own home. Yeah. You know, you just bog off.
Yeah, and she got very angry about that. You know, she went like this: I hardly think people who've got a house worth £5 million can't afford to pay a bit of tax. You know, like that. That's what she sounded like in the House. I thought she was very sort of aggressive in her speech, and when she started going on about the morality of scrapping the two-child cap benefit, well, that's not moral, that's actually immoral, because of all the people who are going to have to pay for it. I mean, to add all those billions of pounds to the tax bill of people who work hard, so that a lot of people who don't work at all can have 1 million kids. You know, can have as many kids as they want. It's going to encourage what used to be the scourge of times gone by, these families who had children like a business. They had children in order to get more and more and more benefits. They would have incomes of like £100,000 a year because they had 8, 12, 13 children. It's going to encourage that kind of societal insanity. This budget is just such a catastrophe. It is a catastrophe in every single way. When we come back, I'm going to talk about another catastrophic element of this budget, and that is the minimum wage. So again, it's like, oh, it's socialist, we're going to put the minimum wage up, it's the right thing to do. I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to make it really difficult for young people to find work. It's another measure that's supposed to be kind, but is the opposite. It's unkind. We'll talk about that when we come back. Welcome back. I'm still with Isabel Oakeshott, Talk's international editor. Our next item, by the way, after this, we'll have a bit of fun with something that isn't the budget. But let's talk about the budget now. This is about the minimum wage. Again, it's one of these sort of socialist-sounding measures that, oh, yes, we're going to make life a lot easier we're going to be generous to young people. So, workers aged 18 to 20 will get an 8.5% pay rise on the minimum wage as of next April. That will take the minimum wage for them, 18 to 20-year-olds, to £10.85 an hour. Kids who are 16 and 17, particularly those on apprenticeships, will receive a 6% increase, taking their minimum wage pay to £8. And those from over the age of 21, young people, they're going to get a 4.1% pay rise, minimum wage to £12.71 an hour. Now this all says, oh yeah, good, nice for the young people. The thing is that these are young people, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you know, into their early 20s. These are the people who are looking for opportunities, often, you know, training jobs, apprentices, apprenticeships, those kind of things. By putting up the minimum wage, a lot of companies will be priced out of hiring young people. Experts say that this is also a disaster, that it will actually destroy so much opportunity for younger people. So again, just something that hasn't been properly thought through.
I'm very worried about this, because if you take it in tandem with this absolutely horrendous employee rights bill, employment rights bill that is coming thundering down the tracks, you know, we've heard this on a number of our shows today, where you've got people calling in and saying, you know what, you know, I occasionally hire people, I have an opportunity to hire people. I'm not going to be hiring very young people anymore. I'm not going to take that chance because I don't have a proven track record of turning up to work. You know, they're untried, they're starting out in their careers. And, you know, this employment rights bill is going to give them potentially the chance to take their employer to an industrial tribunal, employment tribunal, after one day at work. Yeah. It's not worth the grief. You know, why? It's taken as a whole. This government and the Tories before them, by the way, have made it so unattractive to actually employ people. Yeah. You know, the whole thing about IR35, which puts the onus on employers to jump through a whole load of additional hoops, makes it so much more risky to take staff on. And in the end, you know,
I could talk to you about IR35 for quite a long time if you like, but I won't.
Yeah, I mean, well, we do,
I suffer because of IR35, but carry on.
People who own businesses have got a calculation to make. Is it going to be, is this person that I'm going to hire going to produce more money for my business than it is going to cost me to hire them? It's really that simple, you know. And if the employee is going to cost more, likely on the balance of probability, is going to cost more to the business than they're going to generate, and you've got to factor in risk as a cost and paperwork, it's not going to be worth hiring them.
Exactly right. Yeah, you take in national insurance, and now we've got this minimum wage increase. I mean, as I say, minimum wage increase ostensibly, on the face of it, sounds good. But think about it. As you say, employers, people running businesses, small and large, already very reluctant to hire people because of the hike in national insurance. And then you take the minimum wage going up, that will make them even more reluctant to hire people, especially young people. Therefore, opportunity is killed, the job market is diminished, is dramatically reduced. Everything about this budget is negative. It's financially or fiscally incoherent, I think.
I just wonder, where are we going to be with all of this in a year's time? When all of this has kicked in, where are we going to be? Are we going to be with Rachel Reeves? Well, it won't be Rachel Reeves. I think maybe that's one small good thing. That the next Chancellor this time next year will almost certainly not be Rachel Reeves. But I can't help feeling that whoever it is will be saying pretty much the same things all over again. We're going to have a stuttering growth rate, maybe no growth at all. And whoever it is going to be back trying to scratch through our pockets to see if they can find any little bits of remaining copper in the bottom of our pockets. And, you know, I just fear over the next 12 months what is going to happen. I think more people will leave the country, more people will decide to retire early if they feel that they can, because it's just not worth them working anymore. And I think we're going to see a real jobless crisis.
I think you're right, and she will go, and I assume Keir Starmer will go as well, because both of them are responsible for the most egregious breaking of their manifesto promise. And of course, her big promise after her last £40 billion tax grab last October, where she said, I realise this has been painful, but I can promise you now, there will be no more tax grabs, no more tax rises. She's just hit us for 30 billion quid. We now have the British public, the British population now has the highest tax burden for 300 years. I mean, that is incredible, isn't it?
And what are we getting in return? You know, are we getting brilliant public services? Because if we were, by the way, you know, people are generally kind of reasonable about tax, aren't they? If they feel that things are generally functioning really well, you know, that they're safe on the streets, that things are clean, that if they need healthcare, they will get it, high quality healthcare in a timely fashion, that schools are delivering for free, you know, state education, excellent state education, then maybe, and also, by the way, whether the roads work and public transport and so on, then maybe they don't feel quite so resentful about seeing half of everything they earn effectively disappearing out of their pay packet. But when none of those things are true, it doesn't stack up. No wonder the country's red hot, broiling mad, because they're not getting anything very much in return for all that tax that's going out.
Well, just before we go to break, Isabel, absolutely agree with you, by the way. Just before we go to break, though, let's talk about the positives, shall we? There was a great positive in this budget, and, you know, I think you're being unfair by not mentioning it. Free breakfast clubs. Breakfast clubs.
I heard that.
Breakfast. Will they stop going on about bloody breakfast clubs? Starmer and her, they're obsessed with breakfast clubs. Can I just point out, I mean, I think it's for kids at school who can't afford them. They're not free. We have to pay for them. Yeah. Why are they so obsessed with breakfast clubs? They say it every other sentence. Breakfast clubs, breakfast clubs. We've got breakfast clubs. Shut up!
I don't know, Kev. Maybe we need to go to a breakfast club and see what it is you get. Yeah. I bet the kids don't really eat the food. You know, it'll be some kind of horrible, very hard apple or something.
Yeah, right, we should check out what they are. Well, you know what Groucho Marx said? I would never join a breakfast club that would have me as a member. But let's go to break and we'll talk about a really egregious slice of trans madness after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. Breaking news over in Washington. There is a security lockdown around the White House, apparently. And apparently 2 members of the National Guard, those sort of semi-soldiers, have been shot. So there's been a shooting in Washington, we think near the White House. 2 National Guard soldiers have reportedly been shot. There's a security lockdown, so obviously we will keep you posted, updated on that. We don't know the severity of what's going on, but it sounds serious. So that's breaking news. We will fill in the details as this show advances, keep you updated. Let's go back to Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Well, Isabel, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this just to lighten the load a bit. This is taking trans madness to a whole new level. Congratulations to Jamie Booker. She won the title of the world's strongest woman over the weekend. The world's strongest woman. 2025 title in Arlington in Texas. The slight problem is she's a bloke. She's not a she, she's a he, she's a man. To be fair to the organisers, she tricked her way into the... stop that, it's not a she. He, Jim Booker or whatever his name is, tricked his way into the competition and he beat a Brit. The runner-up was a Brit called Andrea Thompson. And that's Andrea storming off the podium. I don't care, I'm going to say what she said. She said, "This is bullshit," and stormed off. Anyway, the organisers have now stripped Jamie Booker of this title, and Andrea is now the world's strongest woman. But, you know, this is just what is going to happen if we carry on down this crazy trans route, isn't it?
I mean, I'm just looking at him and wondering whether, you know, there weren't a few giveaway signs that he wasn't actually a she. I mean, how can anyone have been deceived by this? How did it ever go that far? And doesn't this just say everything about the lunacy of this stuff? And it's so dispiriting for women, sports women, having the threat of this nonsense all the time. It does seem that it is somewhat being tackled in certain disciplines and in certain competitions, but it's still an ever-present threat for our girls and women as they try to compete and find that there's a very, very manly-looking girl who's in the same race as them.
Yeah, this is what Jamie Booker posted after being deposed as the world's strongest woman. Deposed because she's not a woman. He's not a woman. He said, "You are all insanely badass women, and it was an honour just to even share the stage with you and to be there to cheer you on and be cheered on by you. I genuinely did not expect this outcome, and I'm not saying that in a way to gloat or to be prideful. When I signed up for this competition, I did not expect to win. It was a pipe dream." Well, you should have expected to win, Jamie, because you're a bloke. We've seen you. I mean, they're all pretty powerful-looking people, but the others are women. You're a bloke, so why didn't you expect to win? It was obvious you were going to win. And Andrea Thompson, who came second, she's now the champion, she said, "My message is simple. Trans people belong in sport, but women's divisions must remain biologically born female only." Well done to Andrea, and well done for storming off the stage. Yeah. So while the organisers claim they didn't know, it's pretty clear that the other competitors did. Otherwise, Andrea would not have stormed off the stage using that naughty word that I dared to use a little earlier.
Well, was Jamie even continuing to claim that he was a she, or did Jamie...
Well, no, he's basically been found out, and as I say, he said, "You're all insanely badass women. It was an honour just to even share the stage with you."
Yeah.
Jamie, you know, you're a cheat. What did you do that for? What do you want to do that for? Why do you want to sort of, I'm a bloke and I just became the world's strongest woman? What goes on in Jamie's head?
Well, anyway, I mean, how is this ever acceptable? Because sportsmen and women are banned from taking steroids, for example. They're banned from taking the kind of drugs that enhance, performance-enhancing drugs. And yet you've got men who are pretending to be women who've had all manner of unbelievable mind and body-altering drugs. So how does that stack up? I mean, maybe, sure, if trans people want to have a, trans Olympics or trans this or trans that, fine. Make it a special category of competition. But they should not be seeping into men and women's categories. It just is wrong.
And, I understand the problems for journalists in this. There are all these rules and everything, but this is mad. This is the way this kind of story is written, the way this story is written. It's like, a transgender athlete who pretended to be a woman has won has had the title stripped. And then last night, Jamie Booker said, you said this, she did that. No, it's a he. Why are we saying she when this guy has just been exposed to be a biological male? Why are we calling him she? It's ridiculous.
Well, we're not, are we, Kev?
No, we're not.
He is.
We're making a stand.
Yeah, we are, absolutely.
Jamie continued, obviously everyone enters a competition wanting to win, but I did not think this would be the one for me. Why not? You're a bloke.
Why is that relevant anyway?
He says, he goes on to say, I don't know what comes next. I don't know where I'll compete next. I just want to say thank you to all of you from the bottom of my heart. It's really surreal. I just want to say, Jamie, you're a cheat.
Yeah, I know what comes next. Global humiliation.
He's getting it.
Exposed as a cheat, as a charlatan, and as somebody that has no respect for, as he put it, badass women. It is not respectful of women, badass or otherwise, to pretend you're a woman and then try to beat them at their own game.
And we've got to get the Olympic. I mean, Donald Trump is trying to make the Los Angeles Olympics, the next Olympics, a bastion of common sense in this area, saying he will not allow trans women to compete, trans women, you know, blokes who say they're women, to compete against real women, biological women. He said he won't allow it. But Sharon Davis, that great, tireless, brilliant campaigner for fairness in women's sports, she told me, I can't remember the precise number, but there's something like 34 Olympic sports still allow, guys who used to be women or have transitioned or something to participate, to compete against biological women. It's got to stop.
Completely, no sports should allow this. I genuinely, I can't see the justification for it. I mean, only maybe a sport that only involved your brain or something, but even then there's been an awful lot of drugs involved. It just doesn't stack up to me. It's an extraordinary story, and I hope it's the last of its kind, but I fear it won't be.
Congratulations to Andrea Thompson, though, the British star who is now the world's strongest woman, as opposed to the bloke who used to hold the title. Isabel, fantastic. Thank you so much. Isabel Oakeshott.